Scherri-Lee Biggs has your weather details from Goodsbury Hill tonight. Sherry, warm and windy conditions across the suburbs.
Well, Trace, we'd usually expect to see these conditions at this time of year, but what has been unusual is how many days that this wind has persisted. Now, it's usually those here along the Darling Scarp which cop the brunt of those easterlies. One gust was measured at around 96 kilometres an hour overnight last night. The airport and Bickley measuring 70 km an hour, and it will remain this way until midweek, making for some dangerous fire conditions. Now, in addition to that, an extreme heat wave is developing in the Kimberley at the moment and will filter down to Perth midweek. The mercury will soar into the 40s before the weekend, which will cause a severe heat wave. Now, that has prompted park closures. Serpentine National Park closed until the 6th of January, and the Avon Valley National Park is also closed until the 11th of January for severe fire danger. But I'll have more weather details coming up very soon, Tracy.
All right, Sherry, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Welcome back. Well, it's about to start heating up across the south of the state, and we'll be reaching 40 degrees here in Perth before we reach the weekend. But those gusty conditions are set to linger around as well. Here in the hills, we reached one near 100 km an hour overnight last night. But in the city this afternoon, we reached a top of 33 degrees, and right now it's still lingering around 29 at the moment. But to take a look at the map, tropical cyclone Imogen has now downgraded to a tropical low this morning in northern Queensland. It will track eastward, moving offshore south of Cairns by Wednesday. Now, it's set to pack up to 90 km an hour winds in its path, and falls exceeding 200 millimetres are possible. And that's exactly how much rain Cairns could see tomorrow, with a further 100 millimetres to follow on Wednesday. A top of 32 degrees. Down in Brisbane, the sun will be shining, 33 degrees, and a wet morning in Melbourne, showers clearing and a top of 20. Taking a look around WA now, and that heat will slowly build in the north of the state. 39 degrees in Marble Bar tomorrow. There will be some isolated storms popping up with potentially heavy falls around Paraburdoo and Tom Price, leaving over 20 millimetres in the gauge. And with gusty conditions in the central west, along with some warmer temperatures, there will be a severe fire danger warning in place for the central west. 38 degrees in Geraldton. And if you're still on a break and thinking of a beach day tomorrow, even though the winds will be up, it will be offshore, and there's no sea breeze again, and swell will be peaking at a very low 1 metre. Now, the heat won't just impact our eastern suburbs in Perth tomorrow. Midland is heading for a top of 35 degrees, but without a cool afternoon sea breeze. Rockingham will as well, and closer to the city, we'll start the day with a low of 19 degrees. Under clear skies, we're also looking at a top of 35 sometime mid-afternoon. Now, Wednesday, the beginnings of our heat wave, we're looking at a top of 37 degrees. Winds will ease on Thursday with a top of 38. And Friday, we're set for our first 40-degree day of the year, but it won't dip below 27 overnight, leading into Saturday morning, which, Trace, would be an incredibly uncomfortable night, but not the hottest January night, which we reached in 2014, 29.7 degrees. Now, that's a bit more than aircon, I think.
Yeah, that is very uncomfortable. All right, Sherry, thank you very much. Scherri-Lee Biggs has your weather details from Matilda Bay tonight. Sherry, another warm and windy summer's day.
And it's about to get so much hotter, Trace. We are set to suffer through a severe heat wave here in Perth from tomorrow as the mercury soars to 40 degrees. Now, it's a trough sitting just west of the coast at the moment, which will drag all that searing heat that's been building through the Pilbara and Gascoyne this week down to Perth and into the southwest of the state. Now, we're not expecting just one day over 40 degrees, but Saturday is now also forecast to move over that 40 mark, with nights in the mid-20s. Thankfully, though, those gusty northeasterlies will be easing from Thursday, Trace, but at the moment where it stands, these are very difficult conditions to battle bushfires.
Indeed they are. Sherry, thank you.
Welcome back. Well, it's scorching days and balmy nights for the week ahead as Perth heads into a severe heat wave from tomorrow. Now, even this evening at almost 7 o'clock, it's still lingering around 31 degrees. But believe it or not, that is the last of relatively mild summer days until early next week. Now, without that sea breeze this afternoon, we reached a top of around 34 degrees at 4 o'clock this afternoon. If we take a look ahead at the map, a trough sitting off the west coast will drive arrive another round of strong northeasterly winds overnight, as well as drawing heat from the north of the state down into the south. Perth and the southwest will have to endure a severe heat wave until the start of next week. Meanwhile, the remnants of ex-tropical cyclone Imogen will still bring heavy rain across Queensland's eastern seaboard tomorrow. There is already major flood warnings in place. Cairns is collecting up to 45 millimetres in the gauge, and a top of 31 degrees. The chance of storms in Brisbane tomorrow, 32 degrees, and just a couple of showers down in Melbourne, a cooler top of 20. Looking around WA now, and there is a severe storm warning in the Pilbara, but today there was a severe storm warning in the Pilbara. It's since been cancelled, but we will still see some cells popping up again. 33 degrees in Exmouth and 38 in Port Hedland. Tracking south now, a strong wind warning right down the west coast, which will raise fire danger. 39 degrees in Geraldton. And a quick look to coastals. Northeasterlies kicking up to 25 knots in the morning locally, but a sea breeze will reach the coast in the early afternoon. That will cap the temperature for our coastal suburbs. So looking at a top of 35 degrees in Scarborough and in Fremantle as well. Now the sea breeze won't quite make it to the city. Not a cloud in the sky though. So we are heading for a hot 37 degrees. Winds are easing from Thursday, 38 the top. And by the end of the working week, that's when we'll see the peak of this heat. 40 degrees on Friday and Saturday, and it's getting down to only 25 degrees both mornings. A cool change will arrive on Sunday when the temperature drops down to a mild 28 degrees. And I think, Trace, by Sunday we'll all be ready for that cool change following 2 40-degree days.
And that is quite the cool change as well. All right, Sherri, thank you. Let's bring in weather presenter now, Scherri-Lee Biggs. Sherri, it's not cooling down tonight.
No, Trace, it will still be in the 30s well after dinner time tonight, and we do have a string of very warm evenings ahead of us. Take last night, for example. We reached our low at midnight of 20 degrees, and by 9 a.m. it was already hovering around 30. Now, the sea breeze finally reached the city at 3:30 this afternoon, which is when the heat peaked at 38.5 degrees. Now, Bullsbrook was the hottest spot around town today at 39. Not far off was Jandakot and Perth Airport, but the coolest spot was Hillary's, just under 35 degrees. Now, as we've heard, the heat wave will peak tomorrow with temperatures sitting up to 12 degrees above average across the southwest of the state. But I'll have the forecast details coming up soon.
All right, Sherri, we'll chat to you soon. Thank you.
Welcome back, and hang in there because we have just 2 days left of this heat wave here in Perth. It will peak tomorrow mid-afternoon, but today was still pretty uncomfortable. It dipped to just 20 degrees at midnight last night. So by 9 a.m. it was already hovering around 30 and went on to peak at 39 degrees after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, with that trough remaining stagnant off the west coast, maximum temperatures are expected to be around 7 to 12 degrees above average in southwestern parts of WA, including Perth. Now, the cool change will only arrive once that trough pushes inland on Saturday. Quite the opposite for Sydney, though, where they've just recorded their coolest start to the year since 2017. Now, it will be another cool and possibly showery day for them. 23 degrees, sunny in Melbourne, and it's warming to 26. A hot 32 degrees in Adelaide. Tracking back west again and to the north first, where all that heat has been building. A possible morning storm for Port Hedland, 38 degrees. And if we take a look south now, there is increased fire danger for the central west and lower west. 42 in Badgingarra, and a strong wind warning around the Esperance coast, sunny and 31. To our local coastal forecast, it will be a cracking beach day. Northeasterly winds up to 15 knots, followed by a light sea breeze, and swell will peak at just 1.5 metres. Now, it won't be cooling off overnight in Perth. It will start our Friday at 23 degrees in Kalamunda, and most suburbs will be heading over that 40-degree mark, but closer to the city we should reach our top of 41 mid-afternoon, and at this point it looks like we might get a gentle sea breeze coming through after that. Another scorcher on Saturday, heading for 37 degrees, and as that trough tracks inland there is the chance of storms, but not much rain to them. And finally it will be cooling down on Sunday, 29 the top, heading back into the mid-30s from Monday. So make sure you do stay cool out there, and don't forget to look after your four-legged friends as well, Trace.
We can't forget that, indeed. All right, Sherri, thank you.